going to cover writing the equations of lines given some information about the lines. So we know the slope-intercept form of a line is y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So a really simple version of a problem like this would be write the equation of a line. Right? With a slope of 4 and a y-intercept of -1/2. This would be the most basic level of this kind of a problem. And obviously, if the slope is 4, then we're going to have y equals 4x, and then plus the y-intercept, which is -1/2, so we can just write -1/2. But a more complicated version of this would be something like, if we wanted to write the equation of a line, and say we know the slope, of 5, and it, instead of knowing the y-intercept, we just know it passes through a certain point. So let's say it passes through the point -1, 1. So we don't know the y-intercept, because the y-intercept would have, this would be something, comma, or 0, comma, some number. That would be a y-intercept. But instead we just know this point. But what we can do, because we know part of slope-intercept form, we know, because we have the slope is 5. So let's start writing our slope-intercept form. We have y equals 5x, and then we don't know the y-intercept, so we'll use b as our variable, plus b. But something we do know is we have this point that it passes through, right? We know this point, and a point is just an x and a y. So for this point, -1 is x, and 1 is y. So what we can do is we can plug in the known values, because your equation has a y, and it has an x. So we're going to plug in the values that we know. We know the line passes through the point -1, 1. We know that if x in this equation is -1, then y is 1. And we can solve this equation for b, because we have 5 times -1 plus b is equal to 1. And then we solve this equation algebraically. So 1 equals 5 times -1 is -5 plus b. And then we just add 5 to both sides because we want b by itself. That's 5. And now we know that b is equal to 6. So then our slope-intercept form of this line, now that we know the slope is still 5, we have y equals 5x plus 6. So we'll do another example, and this time, instead of given the slope, we're actually just going to be given 2 points. So write the equation of a line that passes through -2, 2, and 4, -3. Those seem like good numbers. So now we don't know slope. We need slope. And we need the y-intercept. So to find the slope, we can use the slope formula, which is slope equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Sometimes it helps to have a visual of this slope formula, because what we're really doing here so we have the point -2, 2. So -2 and then up 2. There's 1 point. And we have 4, -3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So remember, slope is rise over run. So this part here would be rise. Or I like to use the change in y notation, delta y. And then this part here is our run. So this is run, or delta x, which stands for change in x. I'll go ahead and write that. Delta x change in x. And delta y obviously is change in y. So we can obviously just count the spaces over. So we know this is -2, 2. So what's the rise? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this distance is 5. All right? And then what's the run? Starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I forget that you can't see my hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we can see our slope is going to be, now we went down, so this is a rise. It's going down, so that's going to be -5 over 6, as we were going down here. 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, so where does this y2 minus y1 come in? Well, when you're subtracting, you're really finding distances between things. So we can use the slope formula here, and we'll get the same thing. This is, if we say that this is y2, x2, y1, x1, we'll get the same things. So y2 minus y1 is going to be -3 minus -2. And this is why I sometimes prefer just counting, because we're going to get, it's easy to get tripped up with negatives here. -3 minus, oh sorry, minus +2. I was using the exponent for that, which is a common mistake. So we have -3 minus 2 over 4 minus -2. Here's where we have the minus -2. And then -3 minus 2 gives us -5. And 4 minus -2, remember, 2 minuses make a plus, so we have 4 plus 2, just 6. So our slope is -5 over 6. Sometimes it's easier to have the slope formula, because then you can say if your points are really, really far apart, but if you forget the formula, and you just, but you do remember that slope is rise over run, and you draw a picture, then this will definitely come in handy, just knowing how to count. Right? So now we know the slope. All right, a lot of this stuff is going to disappear in a second. Neat. All right, so we know the slope now. So now we just need to find the y-intercept, and we'll do that the same way we found the y-intercept of that other line. So now that we know slope, let's start writing some of our equation. We have y equals -5 over 6x, but we still don't know this y-intercept. But again, we know a point. And in fact, we know 2 points. But it doesn't matter which point we use, because the same line is going to pass through both points. So I'm going to use -2, 2 for my x and y. So this is an x. Whoa. This is an x. And this is a y. So I'm going to plug those values in. When y is 2, times negative 5 over 6. And then x is going to be negative 2. And then we're trying to solve for b. So now I'm just going to multiply the fraction here. Negative 5 over 6 times negative 2. Remember, this is 2 over 1. And when you multiply fractions, you only multiply numerators. I'm going to write it down for those of you that forgot fractions. Or rather, we multiply straight across. So it's numerator times numerator. Numerator and denominator times denominator. So this fraction is going to multiply to 5 times negative 2 is negative 10. And 6 times 1 is 6. So negative 10 over 6 plus b. And negative 10 over 6, in fact, reduces, since they're both divisible by 2, they're both even numbers. So that's negative 5 over 3 plus b. Now I want b by itself, so I'm going to do the opposite of having negative 5/3. I'm going to add 5/3 to both sides, plus 5/3. Now again, adding fractions, we find a common denominator, so 2 plus 5 over 3 is equal to b. But 2 is in fact the same as, because we want it to have a denominator of 3, so we're going to multiply 2 over 1 by, in order to get the denominator equal to 3, we're going to do 3 over 3. 3 times 2 is 6. And 3 times 1 is 3. So this is 6/3 plus 5/3. And when you add fractions, you only add numerators. So 6 plus 5 is 11. 3 equals b. So now our final equation, we found the y-intercept and we knew the slope. So y equals negative 5 over 6x plus 11/3 is the final equation of that line. So that will conclude this workshop on finding the equation of lines. You will have an assignment tomorrow in class that we'll spend about 20 minutes on. If you have more questions, please watch the video again, pause the video, maybe start a problem and see if you can figure it out on your own. And you can find other videos. I'm not the only person who makes math videos and puts them on YouTube. All right.